an adventure blog, and I thought we'd kick it off by talking about the man who was attacked by a mountain lion, but he managed to kill it instead. What an amazing feat that was. He says he's not a hero, but this is the stuff of legends. If he had been around in the Middle Ages, he'd be king right now. This is like David and Goliath. I mean, he was able to turn the tables on an attack that otherwise would have ended his life. So kudos to him. Talk about mountain lions a little bit. They're not huge cats. They're not like lions or tigers or leopards. They're smaller, but at the same time, they can be more vicious. So to give an example, even though maybe the largest cats get just over 200 pounds, they can bring down not just deer and elk, but they can bring down moose and they can bring down horses. And not only can they bring down animals of that size, but they can drag them into the woods. So they can drag an animal into the woods that weighs, 5 times their size. I want to mention that I had lived in the Black Hills of South Dakota for a couple years, and that is mountain lion central. There's no place in the country that has as many mountain lions per square mile as the Black Hills of South Dakota. Despite that, with all the backpacking and mountain biking I did there, I never saw one mountain lion. So now that I live in Connecticut, I noticed that there's been a lot of sightings of mountain lions here, which is strange because they officially don't live anywhere in the east. Mountain lions have thought to have been extinct here for decades and decades. But in 2011, in Milford, Connecticut, a mountain lion was struck and hit by a car and killed. And initially the reports came out and the officials said that it was probably somebody's pet that got out and blah, blah, blah. Turned out that after they had done their research on it, this cat was from the Black Hills of South Dakota and had managed to go on a journey the whole way from South Dakota to Connecticut. Mountain lions have a tendency to migrate long distances. People have known this for a long time. So something else that's interesting is just north of the New York border in Quebec, there's a wilderness area there that has had 15 genetically distinct mountain lions come through that area. They've been monitoring it for years, and which again is odd because supposedly mountain lions don't exist in that part of the east. So they do know that these lions have been coming from the west, moving north over the Great Lakes and through Canada. For them to be moving south into New England is probably not that surprising. And people have been seeing them in the Northeast. I want to tell you about my own sighting here in Connecticut, which is a little bizarre. It was in June 24th of 2013, and my wife and I were in Cockaponset State Forest. We had our dog with us. It was in the evening, probably around 5 p.m., and it was an incredibly hot day. It was in the 90s, super humid, just miserable. And we were just going to hike around the lake and go home. It was going to be a short little hike. There were a lot of people swimming at the beach at that lake, so maybe 100 or so. I mean, that's a good many for that area. It's not a wilderness area. The state forest is kind of remote for Connecticut, but for other states, not nearly as remote. But it is the second largest state forest in the state. And we were hiking west of the lake, and we were only maybe a quarter of a mile away from the beach, and we heard this screaming sound come from the woods. And it was to me it was an animal, really loud, just a blood-curdling scream. And my wife, she thought it was a woman being murdered. And when she mentioned that, it freaked me out because I could hear that sound, thinking, oh my God, maybe somebody needs some help. So we went cross-country through the woods, off trail, trying to find what this thing was. I would keep yelling for help and it would keep screaming, and this kept going on and on, which made me think more and more maybe this was a woman in distress. It was just a horrendous sound. The closer we got, the louder it got, and again it would stop screaming. I would yell, hey, do you need help? And it would start screaming again. So I'm like, oh my God, maybe this woman has her throat cut or something and can't verbalize correctly. It was just horrible things going through my head. Anyway, the closer we got, the more I was starting to think this really must be an animal, because it was just didn't make sense for it to be human. So I grabbed a stick and started going up the hill, and all of a sudden I saw something move. I looked up, and to me it looked like a yellow Labrador Retriever sliding off of a rock outcrop and then kind of sneaking through the brush. And I was thinking, first of all, why would there be a dog up there? But then I thought, oh geez, maybe it is a woman that needs help, and that's her dog. But then the screaming came from where that dog was at. And it kept screaming as it walked around the hill. And it's such a bizarre thing. I've never seen anything like it, never heard anything like it. I've encountered bobcats before, so I was thinking maybe maybe it could be a bobcat, but this thing was big. It was a big animal, It looked like it was about 100 pounds. So, I'm thinking that may have been a mountain lion right here in Connecticut. When I went to report what I've seen, I saw a few days after that, somebody had reported seeing a mountain lion just a few miles from there at night across the road. So it's quite possible that that's what I saw, was a mountain lion here in the state of Connecticut. So anyway, back when I lived in the Black Hills of South Dakota, more mountain lions than anywhere else in the country. As far as I know, everything I've read, there's never been a mountain lion attack there. Mountain lions pretty much just eat their prey animals, and that's it. Some people are very fortunate. There's been mountain lions hit by cars, things along that line, but no attacks that I've read about. So a lot of the attacks, most of the attacks you hear about are in areas where the prey animals get kind of scarce. They're hungry, they're desperate, and they start to look at humans as a source of food because of that desperation. In this case, where this man was attacked by a juvenile mountain lion, it's odd because most mountain lions stay with their mother for 2 years. And they think this mountain lion was maybe a year old or maybe even a little less than a year old. Which is odd because in that case, they usually stay with their mothers. The mothers usually do the hunting and show them how to do it. So for this lion to be alone, hunting on its own, without its mother around, makes me think that maybe its mother had been killed or hit by a car, or they somehow got separated for a long period of time, and it was all on its own. And desperate and hungry and doing something that mountain lions don't typically do, and that's attack people. So the last thing you want to do with a mountain lion is run away. Same thing with a bear. You never want to run away from any of those animals. But unlike a bear, you don't want to avoid eye contact. You want to make eye contact, and you want to look aggressive, and you want to look big, and you want to give it an opportunity to second guess what it's doing and realize that you're not a prey animal, that you're actually a predator. And it doesn't want to attack a predator, it wants to attack a prey animal. So that's kind of the trick that you're using there. Trying to look big, trying to be aggressive. And usually they back away, usually they walk away. If they don't, you're probably going to have to fight like this gentleman did. So some things you might want to consider if you are in wilderness areas or the backcountry, trail running or mountain biking or even hiking, and you're afraid of mountain lions or bears or anything like that, you want to avoid a bad encounter. The first thing you might want to consider is bear spray. That's pepper spray, large canisters. They use it as a deterrent. You spray it at them, kind of like a skunk or something, and spray it at them. And it burns their noses severely, makes their eyes water. It's very painful and annoying. And in most cases, that sends the animal away. That works for just about anything. That'll work for mountain lions, it'll work for bears. It's been determined, state of Alaska did research. They found that bear pepper spray actually works better than firearms. The other thing is knives. Knives should work. Going hand to hand, it's better than not having anything. This gentleman who was attacked on the trail as he was running, who had to kill the animal barehanded, had he had a knife, that may have ended things a little quicker than what I'd had. But he did very well with using his instincts and surviving.